Shadow of the Colossus, initially released in 2005 for PS2, and is widely considered one of the best and most influential games of all time. It ported to PlayStation 3 in an HD remaster in 2011, and finally, 13 years after the initial release date, Shadow of the Colossus was given the remake it deserves. In a remake like this, the objective is to make the game feel modern and new, all while keeping the spirit and intent of the game as close as the original as possible. Bluepoint Studios successfully pulls this off, making one of the greatest games of all time better than ever. In case you're new to the Shadow of the Colossus, the story follows a young man referred to as the Wanderer who travels to a faraway land to bring his lost love back from the dead. In order to complete his objective, the Wanderer must battle and destroy 16 colossi that rule over these lands. The tragic story is interesting and captivating, but it's really unfortunate that there isn't more of it here. I like the open-ended nature of the storytelling, but it just left me craving more. I can't say this is a negative because it's such a powerful tale, but man, what I wouldn't do for some more. For some reason, when I played the game for the first time in 2005, I remember the game being significantly longer than my experience this time. This time it only took about 3.5 hours, maybe closer to 4 hours, but I could have swore my playthrough all those years ago was at least 8 to 12 hours. Even though it was really short, the experience felt like a perfect length. Bluepoint made some really smart changes to the controls of the game that made them less cumbersome, but they kept the same feel as the original. If you're a purist, you have the option to switch to the original control scheme, but you'd have to be nuts to play it like that if you ask me. The world exploration was fun, and each colossi is a giant deadly puzzle that is rewarding and challenging to solve. There are also a bunch of secrets and collectibles that returned from the first game that I didn't realize were there over a decade ago when I first played it. To defeat the colossi, you have to figure out how to climb on top of them, find a weak point, and stab it until they die. The game is basically 16 giant boss fights, and they scale in difficulty as you go. The first one is pretty straightforward and it shows you the ropes of the game. But as you go on, the colossi become puzzles to solve, and you have to do specific things in a specific order in order to defeat it. It moves at a perfect pace, and after each colossi you feel like you've learned something new about the game and how to take on the next colossi on your adventure. After you beat the game, you can go into New Game Plus mode. You can play it again on normal, or you can play it on hard. It also unlocks time trial mode for normal and hard, which you can use to unlock cool gear and power-ups for your Wanderer. You can get new swords, making the Wanderer stronger, and cloaks and masks that give various passive bonuses. I chose not to do any of these in my playthrough because I think the gameplay without the power-up feels right, matching the tone of the world and giving the feeling of weakness and vulnerability that the Wanderer experiences on his adventure. This remake looks amazing too. The world is beautiful and the colossi are huge and menacing, the animations look natural and weighty, literally everything in the game adds to the Wanderer's sense of desperation and helplessness. Shadow of the Colossus, to this day, remains one of the greatest games of all time. And even though it's quite a bit shorter than I remember, I absolutely loved every single second I was playing. Whether you're a veteran wanting to return to the land of the Colossi, or a newcomer looking for a new and amazing experience, Shadow of the Colossus is a great game that you should definitely play.